लेक्चर में क्या सीखा था हमने? कौन सा कंसेप्ट?
Function and operator overloading.
Okay, so function and operator overloading. Fine. Today we'll continue with operator overloading. So any doubts on operator overloading? Any doubts, students? So we are going to learn today operator overloading for input output operators, which is, as you all know, the insertion and extraction operator. Okay, so we are going to do operator overloading here. Now, can somebody tell me what is the purpose, or what do you mean by operator overloading? Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is operator overloading?
Operator overloading means assigning an operator another or a different function.
Yeah, so when you use operators for along with objects or user defined objects, that in that case you have to write operator overloading functions, or it's like a polymorphism, making an operator do multiple tasks, like other than doing its normal task, like in the case of arithmetic operator, while it is normally used for adding or subtracting values and so on, here we are using the arithmetic operators along with objects for adding objects. So to show that, we have to write operator overloading function. So operator overloading comes under what concept of C++?
Polymorphism.
Yeah, it comes under polymorphism. Or is it compile time polymorphism or runtime polymorphism? Compile time है या run time है? Operator overloading?
Compile time.
Yeah, it takes place during compile time. Okay, so as a continuation, yesterday we discussed about operator overloading for unary operators and binary operators. We took an example as arithmetic operators. Now today we'll see how operator overloading can be used for extraction operator and insertion operator, or input operators and output operator. So for that, okay, I'll write a class here. I'm using the same example complex. So int real public complex or void get data, and in get data we normally write enter the real part and C in real and C out, enter the imaginary part. Imaginary. Okay, so that is for get data, and void display out. First we print the real, then we print the plus, then the imaginary, then the I. Okay, so this is for display. Closing the class, and here I create complex object and I write object dot get data and object dot simple class. It has two data members. These are real and imaginary. Then we have a get data function to which is asking to enter the real part and the imaginary part, and a display function which is displaying it in the complex number format. So in the main we are creating an object of the class complex and then calling the get data function and the display function. Any doubt in this particular code written? Is there any doubt?
No.
Okay, I'm just executing it. Imaginary. Okay, it was A. Okay, it's asking for the real and imaginary. So you can see it is getting printed. Now you all can see it's working fine. It's accepting the real part, imaginary part, and it's printing the complex number. Now here I'm going to show you how to use operator overloading. I'm going to overload the operator extraction and insertion operator in the case or instead of get data and display function call here. Okay, so one thing you have to remember is, okay, so instead of get data, I am going to write object.get data. I'm going to write cin object. So now we have seen or we have used cin to accept values like you can see in line number 16, cin real. So what happens here in line number 16? What happens here? Line number
We are
16.
taking the input for the real part.
Yeah, we are taking the input for the real part. What kind of variable is real? What kind of variable is real?
Integer.
It is an integer variable and it is for an inbuilt data type, right? But here we are doing cin object, and object is a user defined data type. It belongs to the class complex, and it normally we don't use extraction operators along with user defined data type. Now how to overload this? Now in the previous, in yesterday's example, यहाँ पे कोड तो नहीं लिखा है, but I hope you all remember we used something like this. Object 2, remember? Object 1 plus object 2. Do you all remember?
Yes, ma'am.
So in this case, both the operands object 1 and object 2 belonged to which class? Object 1 and object 2 belong to which class?
Number.
Number, yeah, complex or whatever it is, means it belongs to the same class which we have written. But in the case of cin object, you can see here object belongs to the class complex and cin belongs to the class, any idea? Cin belongs to which class?
STD.
No, that is the namespace. Class is iStream. Okay, cin is an object of iStream. iStream क्या है? iStream input stream. Is that clear? I'm repeating again. OBJ belongs to which class? OBJ कौन से क्लास को बिलोंग करते हैं यहाँ पे?
Complex.
It belongs to the class complex. And Cin belongs to which class? See, we are writing IOStream here. So IOStream is a base class of, you can say iStream and OStream. iStream is input stream and OStream is output stream. And Cin is an object of, I just now told. Cin is, huh? Cin किस लिए यूज करते हैं? इनपुट के लिए ना, तो वो कौन से क्लास को बिलोंग करते हैं?
Input stream.
इनपुट स्ट्रीम और आई स्ट्रीम. ओके, सो Cin belongs to, Cin is a object of I stream and OBJ is object of complex. You can see one belongs to class iStream and one belongs to class object. So normally we call, like when I say object 1 plus object 2, that means one object is calling the function and the other object is getting passed. That is what we had learned. But now you cannot use Cin to call get data because Cin belongs to which class? iStream. मैं फिर से बता रही हूँ. It's a little bit complex. Okay, for that, to understand it better, I'll write void add function. In that I am passing complex object O, and here I am writing, say, complex result, and R dot real is equal to real plus O dot real, and R dot imaginary is equal to imaginary plus O dot imaginary. Fine. And okay, yes, so if you want to pass this, I will write, or if I want to call यहाँ पे, okay, I'll write complex. I want to pass it and I return. This is what we had learned, and to call this function, I have to create two objects, say obj1 comma obj2. So this is obj1, and then suppose obj2 dot get data, and wait, and obj 1 dot add and obj2. We will be representing as object 1 plus object 2 when if we did operator overloading, right? Yes, this is what we learned yesterday, that obj1 dot add passing obj2 was represented as obj1 plus object obj2, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
हाँ. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, obj1 is calling the add function and obj2 is getting passed. But we simplified it using obj1 plus obj2. But in other ways, what is happening is one object, the left hand object is calling the function add, and the right hand object is getting passed. But in the case of when I talk about this Cin object, when if I want to convert the get data, calling the get data function to overloading of extraction operator or input operator, I have to write Cin the operator and the object. But you can see in this case the left hand or the first object is cin. Cin belongs to the class iStream. So cin cannot be used to call the get data function or to call the input function or the input operator overloading function. So in that case, we have to use what a global function, and we are going to use, since cin cannot call the object of the class complex, we have to use a friend function to overuse or to use or in the क्या है in extraction operator overloading. So overloading of input operators and output operators के लिए friend function ही use करना पड़ेगा. Simple member function cannot be used because one object belongs to the iStream or OStream and the other object belongs to R class. ठीक है, समझ में आया? Is it clear? Is it clear, students? Are you all understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, could you please once again repeat the line number 35?
See, line number 35, cin belongs to which class? I said belongs to which class?
iStream.
iStream. And obj belongs to which class?
Complex.
Complex. So like you can see line number 36, to represent this is a binary operator, use a binary operator because we have two operands obj1 and obj2, which means one object is calling the function and the other object is getting passed, right?
Yes.
But here one object is which is cin cannot call a function. Why? Because cin belongs to which object? हम class का object call करने के लिए class का member function call करने के लिए class का object ही use करना पड़ेगा ना?
Yes.
But cin does it belong to class complex?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't belong to class complex. So you cannot use a normal member function. For that, you have to use a global function. So you're going to use a friend function. So for using operator overloading of input and output operators, you cannot use normal member function. You have to use only friend function. That is what I'm trying to say. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Okay, so for this case of line number, so if I'm converting this object add to operator overloading, you all know I'll write operator and a plus here, right? So this can be written as, what will it be written as? Object 1 plus object 2, semicolon. And suppose I have R as an object, I can write it as R equal to, and here I'll call R dot display. So this is what we had learned before. Now for line number 35, I have to write an operator overloading function instead of get data. So usko I am going to comment that so you can see what are the changes I'm going to do. I have to use, I'm going to return an iStream object. So I'll write I'm going to use an iStream object. So I'll write iStream. Then since I'm going to pass references or address, I will write ampersand operator. And which operator am I overloading? I'm overloading the extraction operator, and I have to use a friend function. So friend keyword use karna padega. And since it's a binary operator overloading, because I've got two operands, now I have two arguments, if you all remember that. So one argument is the cin and the other argument belongs to obj. So cin belongs to which class? iStream, and I'm passing an object for that. say in is the object, and the other belongs to class complex. So I am passing an object for that. Okay, ampersand use कर रहे क्योंकि मैं references pass कर रही मतलब address. Is it clear? So it's a friend function. Why? Because Cin belongs to another class, so I have to use global function. So I'm going to use a friend function here, and I'm returning an iStream object. So the return type is iStream, working with references, or I'm passing the addresses so that it gets reflected in the main also. So ampersand operator, and which operator am I overloading? The extraction operator. Then I've got, since it's a friend function for a binary operator, two operands are there. So two arguments representing the two operands. One representing the Cin and the other representing the R class object. And what will you write inside the function? I'm going to write the same set of statements inside the function. But what is going to change? Instead of real, I'll have to write object.real, and instead of imaginary, I have to write object.imaginary. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so yes, you can just declare it here and write it outside. So we are using friend function because for a friend function, you need not use a object to call in the main, because we here you need not, यहाँ पे object required नहीं है call करने के लिए. That is why it became a friend function. Okay, now you can see this is what happens when you write it outside the class. I have declared it here, and instead of that it's Cin object 1. I comment this, and instead of object 2 again I will write Cin object 2. ठीक है? Have you all understood? कुछ doubt है? You want me to explain it again? Have you all understood this part? Yes, students. This syntax is going to be the same for all the functions wherever you're going to use operator overloading for extraction operator. कुछ doubt है? Is it clear? Or instead of Cin, you cannot write C, okay? You have to write in. I forgot, because here in line number 31, we are writing in. So in is going to be used here. Okay. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll explain it once again for everyone. We are using Cin object. Cin belongs to the class iStream. Object 1 represents the class complex. So we cannot use Cin to call the function getData, or Cin function, not getData actually, Cin function to call the operator or member function. Okay, so Cin cannot be used to call the member function of the class complex, so we have to use a global function. And since a friend function does not need an object for calling the member function, we are going to use or represent operator overloading using a friend function for this purpose. Okay, and how do you write it? You declare it as friend keyword, then I'm returning an iStream. So iStream is the return type, so I'm returning an iStream object. So here I didn't return, so I'll write return in, because I'm returning iStream. So I'm returning an iStream object. Since I'm passing references, I'm using ampersand operator. Then which symbol am I overloading, the extraction operator, and since the two objects I have to pass it as argument, one is the cin object, so I'm going to call it in here. You can use any variable here, passing the reference, so ampersand, and it belongs to class iStream. Then the other object belongs to the class complex, and when inside, so that is declared here. You have declared it here and defined it outside the class. Since it doesn't belong to a friend function, doesn't belong to the class complex, you need not use the scope resolution operator, anything here. And whatever we had written inside the get data function comes inside the operator overloading function. And only difference is a friend function can access the private members, but it cannot access it directly. It has to use objects to access. So object dot real and object dot imaginary. And cin ke instead we are passing in as an variable. So instead of cin, I'll be writing in here. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me see if it works. Okay, here. Fine.
Madam, this ampersand will pass the memory addresses, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Line number 32. Okay, यहाँ पे semicolon. ये references pass कर रहे हैं ना? So it whatever happens inside the function will be reflected in the main. Okay. Okay, now it's asking for two values. Can you see the value is getting accepted? Dekha? Is it clear? The real part is getting added together and the imaginary part is also getting added. That means the values are getting accepted using C in object 1 and C in object 2. समझ में आया क्या सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
And now
Yes,
it's become more readable, right? Object 1 dot get data से अच्छा है C in object 1 and C in object 2 जैसे हम normally C in करते हैं. So the code has become more readable, right? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now for display, instead of r dot display, I want to write it like C out r. है ना? Now what is r? R is an object. So we normally use C out along with, fundamental data types. But now we have used C out with user defined data type, which is R. And so for that also we have to do an overloading, operator overloading. यहाँ पे देख सकते C out belongs to which class then? C out belongs to which class?
OStream.
Yeah, C out belongs to O stream. Belongs to O stream. So you cannot call the member function using OStream. So for that we have to use a global function, and since a friend function doesn't require an object to be called, we are going to use operator overloading using friend function. So I'm going to copy the same thing here. The syntax is going to be somewhat similar, only some difference. So instead of iStream, I will write OStream. Which operator am I overloading? The insertion operator, and यहाँ पे O stream होगा, and यहाँ पे एक object, I'll write it as out. You can give any variable name, and the other object is going to belong to our class. Okay, and I will comment this statement of display. ठीक है, and इसके लिए I'll write a function I'll copy this part. And here, which is a statement जो display में लिखा है वही statement आ जाएगा. यहाँ पे लिख रही हूँ मैं. And instead of C out, it will be out. And return because I'm returning posted. समझ में आया? And instead of imaginary, it will be object dot imaginary because you cannot directly access the private members when you are using a friend function. You need objects. So object dot. ठीक है? Is it understood? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. तो हम execute करके देखते हैं अभी. फिर से पूछ रहा है. प्रिंट हो रहे हैं ना? प्रिंट हो रहे मतलब हाँ, operator overloading function is getting worked. Is it clear now? Yes, students, have you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how you can convert a code into, see, we had done it using function calls, calling the member functions, but now you can see how we converted it to a function which is using operator overloading function for, arithmetic operator plus, for insertion and extraction operator. And now you can see the main function has become more readable. यहाँ पे another person reading the code understands कि दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स मतलब दो कॉम्प्लेक्स नंबर्स एक्सेप्ट कर रहे यहाँ पे और दो कॉम्प्लेक्स नंबर्स ऐड कर रहे और डिस्प्ले कर रहे ना, डायरेक्टली आ रहे इंस्टेड ऑफ अ फंक्शन कॉल. यू कैन सी इट. अंडरस्टूड? इट्स बिकम मोर रीडेबल. इज इट क्लियर?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Have you all understood? So operator overloading is a type of polymorphism. It is used when you want to exhibit operators with many functionalities, like operators are normally used with fundamental data types, and when you use it along with user defined data types like objects, that time you have to specify operator overloading function. And you know the syntax, it's similar to a member function, only that difference is instead of the function name, you will write the operator keyword followed by the symbol of the operator which you want to overload. Then what we learned is unary operator overloading के लिए member function के लिए there will be no arguments, but if it is a friend function then there will be one argument. And whereas for binary operator overloading, if it is a normal member function it will have one argument, and if it is a friend function it will have two arguments. Then in the case of insertion and extraction operator, since one object like C in or C out belongs to another class which is iStream or OStream, here you have to use global functions. And since we all know that friend function doesn't need an object to be called, so in that case, we write operator overloading function for insertion and extraction using a friend function. It cannot be written using normal member function. So friend function example मैंने यहाँ पे दिखाया है. So that's what we have seen. And why do we use it? To make the code more readable. Okay. So I hope you all have understood this. So I hope you've understood function overloading and operator overloading. Is it clear to all? Any doubts? Okay, what are the symbols that you cannot overload? मैंने कल बताया था. What are the symbols which we cannot overload? Operator overloading में कौन से
Size
symbol?
of
Yeah, size of. फिर
ternary operator.
ternary operator, dot operator, pointer operator, these cannot be overloaded. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Scope resolution operator, okay, these cannot be overloaded. Fine, is it clear? Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll go to the next topic. Yes, I know operator
Excuse me, ma'am.
overloading is a little. Yes.
And just a small question,
Okay.
madam. Can we create our own operators?
You cannot create your own operators. You can create functions that work in a specific way.
Yes, I wanted to just know if there is any scope that can we create our own operators.
No, you cannot create your own operators. But functional operators किस लिए हम use करते हैं? कोई functionality के लिए है ना? तो you can create your own functions, but you cannot create your own operators.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So coming here, we'll go to the next topic here. So yes, I'll be uploading the lecture because I know operator overloading is a kind of confusion part. So those who want to take a revision can follow the lecture again. Okay. So going to the next part, next topic here. I'm going to talk about is ambiguity in multiple and about the diamond problem. So here I'm going to write a class. I hope you all remember inheritance. I'm going to write a class A. In that I'm going to write int A. And for class A, for the members of the class A to get inherited, what is the access specifier you will use? For the class A members to get inherited, which access specifier will you use?
Cool.
A तो private है तो कौन सा?
Public.
Public means everybody can use it, right? Protected. Just my child.
Sorry,
Protected.
protected.
Okay. Protected. फिर क्लास B है तो इसमें सपोज मैंने प्रोटेक्टेड यूज किया and class B is inheriting public class A, and here again I'm using class C and it's inheriting public class A and protected int C use किया मैंने. Okay, so what kind of inheritance do you see here now? What kind of inheritance?
Multiple.
Is it multiple, one base class and two children, or one base class and multiple children? कौन सा है? Multiple है क्या? Are you sure?
Hierarchical.
Yes, it is hierarchical. Don't get confused. When you have one base class and multiple children, it's a hierarchical inheritance. Okay. And here I'm writing class D colon public B comma public C, and in that I'm writing public void get data C in A and D. So can you tell me whether A, B, C, D is accessible inside class D? Okay, D I didn't say here. Yes. Is A, B, C, D accessible inside class D? What do you think?
Yes, they are.
Yes, so since A is getting, so you can see A is getting passed to B, right? So you can say A can be accessed here. Do you all agree with me? Class A is the base class. It contains a data member A. Class B is inheriting class A. Can A get accessed inside class B? Yes, students. क्लास ए एक्सेसिबल है क्या क्लास बी में?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Of course, you have written protected. It should be accessible here. And you can see class B is a child class of class A. Now, here also A is accessible. Yes. Can A get accessed here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, can be accessed here. Now, what happens here is, so B is having A and B, C is also having A and C. So what happens in D? Can somebody tell me? Suppose मैंने D का एक object create किया and object dot get data call किया. Okay, and मैंने ये run करके देख. Oh, I forgot to write a semicolon here. Can you see what error? Did I forget any curly braces? Okay. Line number 16. Class A pub. I wrote class A here. Yeah, public. Come on, students, please correct me if I'm wrong. Huh? Okay. Can you see the error now? What is it saying? A is ambiguous. Can you tell me why? In line number 29, that is inside class D, A is ambiguous. B, C and D में problem नहीं है, but A is getting A error drop हो रहे. A is ambiguous. Can somebody tell me a reason for that?
A is getting inherited twice.
Yeah, it's getting inherited in B as well as it is getting inherited in C. But the problem comes when there is multiple inheritance. You can see line number 24 में multiple inheritance है. क्यों? Because class D is a child class and it is inheriting from multiple base class, which is the multiple base class B and C. But B and C already had inherited class A. So from class A, it is getting A and B and A, and so class B has A and B. Class C also has A and along with its own data member C. So when class D is inheriting B and C, two copies of A is coming to class D. Means it is getting confused कि कौन सा A ले लूं, class B से ले लूं या class C से ले लूं. So that is why A is ambiguous here. Can you have you all understood the concept? Understood? And that is happening because of this multiple inheritance used here, because both B and C already had inherited A separately And but when class D is inheriting it, 2 copies of A is coming, one through class B and one through class C. So that is why this error is coming, that A is ambiguous. Have you all understood that? Understood it?
Yes.
ओके तो ये एम्बिग्विटी रिमूव करने के लिए कुछ आइडिया है आप लोगों के पास? एनी आइडिया? एम्बिग्विटी रिमूव करने के लिए अभी कंपाइलर को क्या कंफ्यूजन है, क्लास बी से भी आ रही है और क्लास सी से भी ए आ रहे, तो कौन सा ले लूं? तो हाउ कैन यू रिमूव दिस एम्बिग्विटी? एनी आइडिया?
Inherit A only once.
बट आई नीड इट नो सर, सपोज मुझे क्लास बी में वो जरूरत है कोई फंक्शन के लिए, अभी मैंने यहाँ पे मेथड्स नहीं लिखा है, बट माय प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट, सपोज सम प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट व्हिच आई वाज राइटिंग, solving it, but in that case class B had to use A and similarly class C also had to use A, and D had to use B and C also because it wanted the properties of B and C. In that case, what will you do?
Pointer or this keyword.
You can use this scope resolution operator, right? Suppose मैंने ऐसे ही यूज किया तो उसका मतलब क्या है?
Accessing A from B.
Yeah, I'm using A. I'm telling the compiler explicitly now the A which I need is from which class?
Class B.
Class B.
देखते हैं रन करके कुछ एरर है क्या? हो गया ना प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व? अंडरस्टूड? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that is the diamond problem, you know, because you can see पहले क्लास A है, फिर A को 2 ब्रांचेस आ गया B and C because A is getting inherited by B and C, फिर B and C दोनों कंबाइन होके D हो गए, तो you can see it is coming in the shape of a diamond, so this is called the diamond problem. It rises to ambiguity. So to remove that, you can either use a scope resolution operator where you specifically give which class member you are talking about. Otherwise, the best option is instead of using the scope resolution operator, you can use something called a virtual base class. Now, what is a virtual base class? I will write here virtual. That means I'm making the base class virtual. When I write like this, only a single copy of A will be passed. Okay, so when I make the base class virtual, instead of passing separate copies to different child classes, a single copy of A will be passed. So that will remove ambiguity here. So you can see here. Can you see? Now there is no error. So this is an example of, this is an option to remove the diamond problem. You can use a virtual base class. Okay, so what to make it, what are you doing? Wherever you are inheriting the base class, you're putting the keyword virtual. So by using this, only one copy of the base class is getting passed to its child class. So that eliminates the ambiguity problem. Is it clear to all? Yes. Clear है क्या? Have you all understood? I didn't do any changes. I just put a keyword called virtual. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So always remember which class will you make it virtual? Which class virtual बना सकते हैं? बेस क्लास या चाइल्ड क्लास को?
Child.
Base child class.
नहीं, virtual कहाँ
Base
पे
class.
apply
Base
किया?
class.
Base
हाँ,
class.
Base class.
remember it's a virtual. You apply it here. Wherever you are inheriting the base class, वहाँ पे virtual and किसको virtual बना रहे? Base class को. So virtual public A. Public A is what? A is what? It's a base class. And what is happening here? Instead of passing multiple copies to the different copies to the child class, it is going to pass a single copy to all the child class. So there won't be any ambiguity. Is it clear? Yes, students, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is so we talked about ambiguity in multiple inheritance. So you can remove ambiguity in multiple inheritance by using a scope resolution operator. And when there is a diamond problem, you can remove it using a virtual base class. Okay, so this is an example. Another thing which I want to talk about is we have already done function overriding. I hope you all remember. Suppose I have a class, say shape, okay, and इसमें I am writing in, okay, I am writing say int length and breadth, and here public void show. I'm writing C out values of L and B are L and B. Okay, for that I'll use a constructor, just an example. Equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. Okay, and then this is the base class, and suppose I have a class called and here I am writing int A. I'm writing say public, it's inheritance, so this is inheriting public shape, and here again I'm writing this function value of A is okay, yes, and here that A is equal to 30. Fine, so have you understood? It's just a simple code. I've written a base class. It contains L and B, and I have a function called show in that class, which is printing L and B. And I have another class called square, which is inheriting shape. And here I'm printing, I have got a similar function here. You can see the same function in both the classes, the parent class and the base child class. So what is going to happen here? Function overloading or function overriding? What is going to happen here?
Function overriding.
Yeah, because you have the same exact same function in the parent class and the child class. Now what am I going to do here is I'm going to create the object for the square class, and I'm writing s dot get s dot show. So which function is it going to call? Which function is it going to?
Of the class square.
Yeah, so this is going to call the function of square. Why? Because it will first check in its own class, and since show is present in its own class, तो s show को कॉल करेंगे जो क्लास स्क्वायर में है. अब आप देख सकते हैं इनहेरिटेंस हो रही यहाँ पे, बट आप देख सकते हैं शो इज देयर इन द शेप क्लास एज वेल एज शो इज देयर इन द स्क्वायर क्लास. और जब एस ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करते हैं स्क्वायर का, तो पहले अपने खुद के क्लास में देखते हैं, अगर वो वहां पे नहीं है तभी बेस क्लास का फंक्शन कॉल करेंगे. तो दिस इज गोइंग टू कॉल द फंक्शन ऑफ द स्क्वायर क्लास. बट सपोज मैंने s डॉट शेप स्कोप रेजोल्यूशन ऑपरेटर शो किया, तो कौन से फंक्शन को कॉल करेंगे?
Of the shape class.
Yeah, it is going to call the function of the shape class. क्यों? Because यहाँ पे हमने specifically we have written here that shape scope resolution operator show. That means call the show of the shape class. तो ये base class का show function call करेंगे. So let's execute it and see if it is working like that. Can you see? Can you see? First, s dot show is calling the function which is there in the square. And when I write s dot shape scope resolution operator show, it is calling the show function in the base class. देखा क्या? Have you all seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is an example of function overriding. That is by calling, you are overriding the function and you're calling the other function, right? So now another example, which can you say overriding, if I want to call the base class function without the scope resolution operator, any other method?
Using pointers.
Yes, you can use a base pointer. So shape को pointer create किया ptr. So this is the base pointer. This is the child object. Okay, and suppose मैंने यहाँ पे base pointer को child object से मतलब क्या है? The base pointer will point to the address of the child, but this will happen when at the runtime. Okay, so if I write pointer, so which function is it going to call here? Line number 40.
The base class function.
This is going to be early binding. It's called early binding. Why? Because right now, even though pointer is getting assigned to the address of the child object, it will happen only at the runtime. So when it comes to line number 40, it will, since it's a base pointer, it is going to get binded to the show of the base class itself. So it will pointer will get binded to base class function. So what happens now? Let's execute this code again and see if it is working like that. Can you see the last line? It is calling the base class function. Yes or no? Can you see it? That means you can call the base class function using the base pointer. Dekha?
Yeah.
Yes, students,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
see? Okay. Now, suppose I want to use the base class function, base class pointer, point to the derived class function. For that purpose, I will make the base class function virtual. I'll put a keyword. So now this is a virtual. So now this becomes runtime polymorphism. You can see similar functions in the base class and the child class, but you see the base class function is made virtual. So what happens, as I told you, line number 39 takes place during the runtime. That is, it's going to get pointed to the address of the derived object. So what happens when you make base class virtual, function virtual, the pointer arrow show is going to be late binding takes place, and the pointer will get binded to the derived class function when the base function or the base class when the base class function base class function is virtual. So if you want to make the base pointer point to the derived class function only, in that case you have to make the base class function virtual. So for making it virtual, you will add the keyword virtual. And what happens in that case, instead of early binding which took place previously, late binding will take place. That means the binding will take place during the runtime, and the pointer will now point to the function which is there in the derived class square. So if you run this code, can you see now instead of calling the base class show, the base pointer is calling which function now? Can you see it? देख सकते हैं क्या?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here it is calling the derived class function. So that is the purpose of using a virtual virtual function makes polymorphism happen during the compile time or runtime. When does it happen?
Runtime.
Yeah, it takes place during the runtime. That means pointer now gets binded to the function of the child class because the base class function is virtual. Is it clear now? Have you all understood? Is it clear?
Yes, it is clear.
What about others? Are you all
Yes, ma'am.
understanding? फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग कंपाइल टाइम है या रन टाइम है? फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग कंपाइल टाइम है या रन टाइम है?
Compile time.
Compile time.
तो
Compile time.
Compile
वर्चुअल
time.
फंक्शन, या गुड. सो व्हेन यू यूज वर्चुअल फंक्शन, कंपाइल टाइम है या रन टाइम है?
Runtime.
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 So
Runtime.
yeah, so you should know the difference between runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism. In runtime polymorphism, late binding happens. Why? Because your base class function is virtual. Now the base class pointer will point to the derived class, is getting pointed to the derived class object during the runtime. So it will be calling the function in the derived class. Okay, but if you don't, you make use of the keyword virtual in the base class function, what happens, even though you're assigning it to the address of the derived class object, it will only happen, getting an address will only happen at the runtime, but when during the compile time, since the base class function is not virtual, it will go for early binding, which will make the base pointer point to its own function and call the function which is there in its own class. So that is the difference when you use virtual function and when you don't use. Is it clear? Is it clear, students? समझ में आया क्या? किसी को कुछ डाउट है? कोई पोर्शन फिर से एक्सप्लेन करना है? समझ में आया?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So to remove ambiguity here, what did we do? What are the different ways? Because since you have the same function in both the classes, to remove the ambiguity, what are the different ways or methods we used here?
Use of scope resolution operator.
Yeah, we used scope resolution operator. Then we used base pointer, right? Yes or no? Base pointer use किया है कि नहीं? किया ना? Base pointer. Yes, students, please reply.
We use the virtual keyword.
Yeah, that is we used before. If you don't use the virtual keyword, also ambiguity can be removed, right? Use with the help of a base pointer. अगर मैंने यहाँ पे virtual नहीं यूज किया तो कौन से फंक्शन को कॉल करेंगे? कौन से फंक्शन को कॉल किया? वर्चुअल नहीं यूज किया तो बेस पॉइंटर.
No, ma'am. You said earlier for ambiguity problem. That's why.
या तो एम्बिग्विटी है ना यहाँ पे, दोनों जगह पे सेम फंक्शन है, तो इवन इफ यू डोंट यूज वर्चुअल, it will call only one function, right? One particular function, right? Ambiguity का मतलब क्या है? The confusion remove कर रहे हैं, right? Because it has multiple meanings here. So with the help of base pointer, you can either call the base class function or the derived class function. But how will you make the base class function get called? You do a early binding without using a virtual keyword. But when you use a virtual keyword, देखो अभी base pointer show call किया, कौन से show को call किया?
Base वाली.
बेस वाले. अगर मैंने यहाँ पे virtual डाल दिया एंड रन किया, तो अभी बेस पॉइंटर किसको कॉल कर रहे हैं? डिराइव को. तो एम्बिग्विटी रिमूव कर रहे हैं ना, आइदर यूजिंग अ स्कोप रेजोल्यूशन ऑपरेटर और बाय विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ बेस पॉइंटर. समझ में आया?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the use of virtual function? Virtual function is making the base pointer call the derived function. If they ask you, if you want to make the base pointer call the derived function, in that case, what will you use? That time you will use a virtual function. Is it clear?
Yes, it is clear.
And if they ask you what is the difference between runtime polymorphism, or give an example of runtime polymorphism and give an example of compile time polymorphism, That time you can say compile time polymorphism example है function overloading and runtime example है virtual functions. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now next topic is a continuation of virtual function. We have something which is called the pure virtual function. ठीक है, तो प्योर वर्चुअल फंक्शन मतलब ये जो वर्चुअल है यहाँ पे ये पोर्शन नहीं होगा. Instead it will be equated to 0 followed by a semicolon. So this is a pure virtual function. So when a virtual function is equated to 0, it is called a pure virtual function. A pure virtual function is incomplete, means usko definition nahi hota. You can see there is no definition for a pure virtual function, and the class which contains the pure virtual function is called an abstract class. The class which contains a pure virtual function is called the abstract class, and an abstract class should contain at least one pure virtual function, and it can have other normal functions also. Okay, that means यहाँ पे एक suppose मैंने void data function लिखा like cin, or I can write cout L and B. Yes, this is allowed. That means a abstract class can have other member functions also, but a class is called abstract when it has at least one pure virtual function. At least one pure virtual function का मतलब क्या है? It can have more than one pure virtual function. So how is a pure virtual function represented? A function with the keyword virtual, it is equated to 0. It will not have a definition inside that particular class. So that is called a pure virtual function, and the class which contains the pure virtual function is called an abstract class. An abstract class is considered to be incomplete because the pure virtual function does not have a definition inside that class, and an abstract class should have at least one pure virtual function, and it can contain other member functions also. Another thing you all have to remember is an abstract class का object हम create नहीं कर सकते. मतलब मैंने यहाँ पे shape object लिखा तो वो गलत है. It cannot object for abstract class is not allowed. Why? Because abstract class is considered to be incomplete. Incomplete क्यों? Because it contains pure virtual function. So pure virtual function के सिर्फ डिक्लेरेशन है, डेफिनेशन नहीं है, इसलिए हम abstract class का objects create नहीं कर सकते. तो बाकी functions को हम कैसे call करेंगे? We will call it using the pointer. बेस पॉइंटर या abstract उस क्लास का पॉइंटर के हेल्प से हम मेथड्स को कॉल करेंगे, not with the help of objects. So that you have to keep in mind. And where will this class be defined? The class will be, where will this function be defined? The function will be defined in its child class. Okay, you can see show is defined in the class square, which is a child class of shape. That means the pure virtual function will be defined, or the definition of the pure virtual function will be available in the child class. But suppose मैंने यहाँ पे square में definition नहीं लिखा, तो what will happen? The child class will also become abstract. So all the classes, all the inherited classes will go on becoming abstract until the definition is found. So that is the usage of a pure virtual function. समझ में आया क्या? Is it clear? Have you all understood? Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
So I can use it like this. Instead of this, I can use get data. मतलब get data base class में available है, तो I have to use pointers for that. And if I have now, this is pointer is getting assigned so to the get data function here address. So if you are using get data, it should call here. Is that clear? That means using a base class pointer, you can either get the what address of the like means you cannot create the derived class object. So to access the member functions of the abstract class, you have to create pointers for that. So that you have to remember. Is it clear? Understood? And क्यों हम object create नहीं कर सकते? क्योंकि abstract class incomplete है and incomplete क्यों है? क्योंकि उसमें pure virtual function है. Is that clear? Have you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now can somebody tell me why do we use pure virtual functions?
For data abstraction.
Yeah, that data abstraction के लिए नहीं है. Data abstraction you can say, but what is the purpose of pure virtual function? It behaves like interface. जैसे for example, you have a class called shape. Shape means or a class called polygon. Now polygon can be a square, it can be a rectangle and all. So the base class will only act as an interface and the child class will have its own functionalities. जैसे I want to find the area of a polygon, I will create a base class polygon and child class called square, rectangle, circle and so on. Have you understood? So a pure virtual function acts as a interface to the child class and actual implementation will be in the child class. Is it clear? Like I'll show you an example here. I'll just modify this so you will understand it better. अभी shape ही हम use करते हैं. Class shape is going to be the abstract class. तो इसमें मुझे बाकी child class का form क्या है, areas find out करना है. So here I will just write say public and I will write void area. Yes, it's going to be a virtual void area and it's going to get equated to 0. So this is a pure virtual function. Okay. And now there is no definition for that. Yes. Now suppose I want a square and it is inheriting shape. So int a and say public. I will write the definition for area, void area, and see the everything should be same. Matlab, if that base class has parameters in that function, the child class should also have the same equal amount of parameters and type of parameters. Okay, so everything should be same. Now I'm going to write the definition of area in my child class called square. Say C out e okay, area of the square is equal to and yes, I have to get the value. So square int x a is equal to x. So I'm using a parameterized constructor here. There. Fine. So I've written the extension. So here definition of the pure virtual function inside the child class. Now I'm going to write class rectangle colon public class. I'm inheriting shape. Okay. And here int length and breadth and public. I'm going to copy the same thing here. The function is again definition of it is here. So here rectangle is L into B. Here it is A into A. Okay, here. So you can see this pure virtual function has different definitions in different classes. So this shape is just going to act as an interface. Whereas shape is getting inherited in square, it's getting inherited in rectangle. So here shape is going to act as an interface for all the child classes. Why? Because this pure virtual function area यहाँ पे उसके लिए स्पेसिफिक डेफिनेशन नहीं है. शेप कौन सा शेप है तो उसका डेफिनेशन होगा in the child class, like square has a definition for it and rectangle has a definition for it. So I've written it like this. Now yes, for rectangle also I'll create a constructor rectangle and suppose rectangle. I'm writing int x comma int y, and here I'm writing L length is equal to x and b is equal to y. Okay, so in the main I will now create, can I create objects for the class shape? क्लास शेप के लिए ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट कर सकते हैं क्या?
No.
No, you cannot create objects for class shape. So for I can only create pointers for shape. So I can write shape star pointer and then object, say, of next is square, right? Square के लिए S object and rectangle के लिए R. So this is object for class square and this is object for class rectangle. And then I can see how it is going to act as an interface. If I write pointer equal to address of S semicolon and I write pointer arrow area. कौन से एरिया को कॉल करेंगे?
Of the square.
Square wale.
Base pointer will call the square area. Now see, you can see shape is just acting as an interface. Through shape, we are calling a specific function. Similarly, if I write pointer equal to address of R and I write pointer area. Which area will it call now?
Rectangle.
Yeah. So this is how you say an abstract class behaves like an interface. Now you can see syntax to same hai. Only thing it will change as per the address it is getting assigned to. Understood? So this is interface class or the abstract class pointer. Okay, so through the abstract class pointer, you're calling the function area. मतलब यहाँ पे जो declare किया है simply यहाँ पे pure virtual function declare किया उसका definition child class में होगा. तो to access that, you will create a base class pointer, make it get assigned to a specific child class and call that particular area definition. So let's see how it works now. कुछ हुआ क्या? या स्क्वायर का स्पेलिंग okay, it was length into breadth, right? Can you see? Yeah, there is some garbage value getting assigned because I didn't call the parameterized constructor. Wait. Can you see it now? Have you all understood? समझ में आया है क्या सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, so understood the functionality of a pure virtual function. It is just declared with the keyword virtual and it is equated to 0, and the class which contains the pure virtual function is going to be called the abstract class. A class which contains at least one pure virtual function is called the abstract class, and the definition for that pure virtual function will be found in the child class. And suppose if the child class also doesn't define it, then that child class also will become an abstract class. Remember that you cannot create objects for the abstract class because the class is incomplete. So you can only use pointers for that. That abstract class will behave like an interface for the child class. because when it will depend on which address it is getting assigned to. So depending on that, that particular function definition will be called. So that's how a pure virtual function or an abstract class works. Is it clear? Understood? तो आप देख सकते हैं ऐसे बहुत सारे चीजों के लिए हम यूज कर सकते हैं, जैसे which has like you want to write a problem statement to find the area of a shape. So now shape doesn't have a particular area, so in that case you will make shape a base class, and multiple children it can have, where each child will have its own functionality to find the area. That is one example. ऐसे बहुत सारे examples आप सोच सकते हैं. ठीक है? Is it clear? You can see another program is do some kind of conversion. So you can have different kinds of conversion. तो उसमें base class conversion होगा, and for that common it will have a function called conversion as virtual, and then you can have temperature like Celsius to Fahrenheit, kilogram to gram. So बहुत सारे type of conversions होगा, तो each conversion आप child class बना सकते हैं. So that's why I said you can use when there is, you want to represent an interface which will call different child classes as per user's request. समझ में आया? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others? Have you understood the concept of virtual function and pure virtual function and abstract class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so pure virtual function भी runtime polymorphism के एक example है. आप देख सकते हैं, जब अगर मैंने ना यहाँ पे शेप का एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करने के लिए ट्राई किया, तो देखते हैं it should drop an error. देखा? Can you see the error? Can you all see the error? What does it
Yes,
say?
ma'am.
Understood. So that is why I said an abstract class cannot have an object, but you can have pointers.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, line number 16.
Huh?
When I'm executing the program, I'm getting a warning that class square has virtual method area but non-virtual destructor. So what is the meaning of this warning?
Yeah, see, you can have virtual destructors, and you don't have virtual constructors. Please keep in mind, you can have virtual destructors. Now, what does that mean is, अभी यहाँ पे base class is pointing to the child class, right? This base class is pointing to the child class. Pointer is equal to ampersand s. उसका मतलब क्या है? 47, line 47. लाइन नंबर 47 या लाइन नंबर 49 का मीनिंग क्या है?
It is storing the memory address of that object.
Or you can say that pointer is pointing to the address of the derived object.
Yes.
Now suppose you delete the derived object. Sorry, you delete the base pointer. क्या होगा? I'll tell it once again. You delete your child object. What happens? Pointer is pointing to the address of the derived object. Yes or no?
Yes.
You delete your derived object. What happens?
It will point towards null.
Yeah, it is getting pointed to null, right? The pointer is getting pointed to a null address. You understanding?
Yes.
So to avoid memory leak, that's what they want to say. That is when you are using such kind, so you're making the base pointer point to a derived object, but आपने derived object को delete कर दिया. Yeah, you can say it is that particular, now these people are getting binded to each other. The parent object is getting or the base pointer is getting binded to the derived object, and you deleted it. So in that case, what happens? There will be a memory leak. Understood? So to avoid that, you will have to use a virtual destructor. Understood? Virtual destructor. I'll be taking that session in the next one lecture. It will be. I'll give you examples like that. So what happens is when a memory leak occurs, it is getting pointed to a memory location which doesn't exist. So that is called memory leak. So to avoid such things, you will have to use a virtual destructor. And virtual destructor use करने में क्या होता है, like when you delete, when you say a delete operation has to be done, it will delete as per the order that has to get deleted. It will not create memory leak. Understood? So that is why it is giving you a warning, because by accidentally आपने एक object को delete किया and it is getting pointed to an empty location, or it is pointed to a location which doesn't exist, that time there will be a memory leak और segmentation fault आ जाते हैं. तो वो avoid करने के लिए आपको virtual destructor use करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं. Is it clear? So that is what they are trying to say. I'll give you examples in the later sessions. Okay. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
I'll show you examples. For the others, it might have not got registered. Don't worry about it. I'll take virtual destructors as another session. That time you'll understand it better. But remember, there are no virtual constructors, but you can use virtual destructors. Is it clear? Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for today, this is enough. If there is any doubt, please ask. So today we have covered what operator overloading for extraction and insertion operators. Then we covered what is ambiguity in multiple inheritance, how it can be eliminated. You can use scope resolution operator, you can use base pointers, and what is the use of virtual function. And we also saw what is a pure virtual function and an abstract class. So far, is it clear?
Yes, it is clear.
Yes. What about others?
Clear, ma'am.